Hi TK students, it's Mrs. Belatash and I'm so glad to be with you today. Today we're going to continue talking about wood. Last time we learned that wood comes from a tree and we looked at some different wood samples and we saw how they were the same and how they were different. Now I want to see what happens when I put water on wood. And you might still have that eyedropper that I sent home in your science kit, in my previous kits. If you don't, you can use a straw. I have a straw that you can see through, but I also have metal straws. So I'm going to use the one that's see-through, and this is how I can use it to get water. I'm going to take the straw and I'm going to put it in some water. And then I'm going to put my finger over the end of the straw, and now I have a little bit of water in it. And do you see? I can have one drop or more come out of my straw. I'm going to put some water on my wood. There are my 3 wood samples. This one is particle board, and do you notice it kind of looks like oatmeal to me? Don't eat it. It's not made out of oatmeal. It's made out of wood, sawdust, and shavings. This one is plywood. I like the stripes. This one is basswood, and it's really smooth and it's light colored. Now I am going to put some water on it. I put a drop of water on the particle board, and look what's happening with it. Is the water soaking in or is it staying on top? Yeah, it's made like a little bubble. We call that a bead of water. Okay, I'm going to add some water to another one, and we're going to come back and see if anything happens to this bead of water. Here we go. Hey, look at that water. It's not staying on top. It is soaking into the wood. That's different, isn't it? Now I'm going to put some water on this other piece of wood. Oh, that was a big one. Look at that. The water is a big bead. So on the plywood, the water soaked in. On the particle board, the water is a bead. And on the basswood, the water is a bead. Now, I'm going to put the water on the end of the wood. Well, it looks like it's a bead again, isn't it? Here is the plywood. And again, the plywood is soaking in. It's very different. It acts differently from the other wood. Okay, here's the end of the basswood. I see a bead again. I don't see it absorbing or soaking in. So not putting the water on the wood, I'm going to put the wood in the water. Okay, there's my water, and I'm going to start with the particle board first. I'm going to put it in the water. What is the wood doing? It is floating. The wood is staying on top of the water. I'm going to push it down to the bottom. Oh, it popped back up. Now I'm going to add another piece of wood. This is the plywood. The plywood also is floating. Hey, do you notice something about the plywood now that it's wet? I can see the details on the stripes, the lines, much better. The wood got darker when it got wet. Okay, here's my last piece of wood. I'm going to put it in the water. Hey, it also floats. Hey, I never noticed there were some more lines in this wood. I thought it was just all white. Now I see lots of lines. When wood is put in water, it floats. And when wood gets wet, it gets darker and I can see more details. TK students, will you please take out your science notebook? Guys, do you notice that we're getting to the end of our science notebook? You've done so much good work in science this year. I am so proud of you. Okay, I want you to go to the page right after where it says, where does wood come from? We did that when wood comes from trees. Go to the next page, and it's a blank page. I wrote a question on the top of the page. You don't need to write the question. You can just answer the question with me. And the question that I want us to answer today is, what happens when wood gets wet? When we put water on the wood, what did we see? Well, sometimes the wood soaked in the water, right? Sometimes the water made a bubble or a bead on top of the wood. What else happened when we put the wood in the water? The wood floats. I drew a picture of the wood in the water. And this is the water, and these are my blocks of wood. And I wrote, wood floats. If you don't want to draw a picture of the wood floating, you can also draw a picture of the water on the wood. I drew 2 different blocks of wood. On one of them, I'm showing how the water soaks into the wood. And on the other one, I'm showing how the water beads up on the wood. So you don't have to draw both pictures. You can draw either this picture or the one with the wood floating. You guys have done an absolutely wonderful job. I'm so proud of your good work. See you next time, Cougars.